In this video, I want to discuss using factoring to solve quadratic equations. All right. Now, first, we need to make one observation. Think about what has to be true for a product to equal 0. All right. Think of a couple of pairs of numbers that multiply to 0. How about 5 times 0? How about 1/2 times 0? How about 0 times -4? 0 times -3/40? Okay, and go ahead and think of some other ones. Now, if indeed the product of two numbers equals 0, it has to be true that one or both of the pieces is 0. Okay, you cannot have a product equal 0 unless one or both pieces, one or both factors is 0. All right, that's critical, and we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to use this fact to solve quadratic equations using factoring. Okay? So if you understand that, let's continue. Suppose we wanted to solve this equation, x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. All right, so I would first suggest factoring the left side. So x minus 1 times x plus 2 equals 0. Now remember what we were discussing a minute ago. You can only have a product equal 0 if one or both of the pieces are 0. So in other words, x, in this case, x minus 1 is the first piece. That has to be 0, or the second piece has to be 0. Okay? So go ahead and solve each of those equations. And you get that x is either 1 or -2. See that? That's how it's done using factorization, factoring. All right, now I'd like you to try one. Please try to do this one. Pause the video if you have to. X squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that now. So I'll factor it as before. Now I'll set the different pieces. I'll solve it as if each piece was equal to 0. Okay, or I'll handle both cases, that the first one's 0 or the second one's 0. Okay, and so this time we get x equals -2 or x equals -3. Okay, hopefully that's becoming clearer now. Now the next one's going to have a little twist, so make sure you try this one. X squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. All right, so if you factor this one, this is one of those quadratic equations that has one solution. Okay, the factorization of the left side is x minus 4, that whole difference, that whole binomial squared. See that? So only one solution this time. So that's possible. You don't always have two solutions. All right, and then in closing, would you please try to solve this one? Pause the video and see if you can figure out the answer to this quadratic equation, the solutions, I mean. All right, so I hope that you didn't immediately factor the left side. The left side can be factored, but the issue here is we don't want to play the factoring game until we have a 0 on one side of the equation. Okay? Yes, you can factor the left side, but it's not going to do any good because you have a 2 on the right side. Okay? The game only works if you have a product that equals 0. So what I would do for this one is simply move the 2 to the other side. Let's subtract 2 from both sides. And now we have a quadratic equation that equals 0. So we have a chance of applying that factorization trick. Okay? I also did this one to show you that not every variable always has to be x. I knew you knew that, but I just wanted to do one that didn't just involve x. Okay, so now you can factor it and you get y minus 2, y plus 1 equals 0. And then you can go ahead and solve each of those, set each of those binomials equal to 0, and you'll get y equals 2 or y equals minus 1. Okay, so in closing, let me remind you that the factoring trick only works if you have 0 on one side. Also, be open to the fact that you can have 0, 1, or 2 solutions. We saw examples with 1 and 2 solutions, but it's also possible that you might not be able to factor a quadratic expression. In that case, you would need some other technique to solve it, or it might be possible that it simply has no solutions.